And welcome to The View. Here.
Okay.
Okay, it's on, Mom.
Okay, ladies, welcome to The View. Chili.
Hey.
Okay, gals, have a seat. While it's cooking, we'll talk. I just wanted to show you, I was telling Darlene about this. I said, back in, I think it was right after Dawn was born, probably 1945, I sat in the kitchen with my dad, and he said, so you want to know how to make chili in a small version? I said, yes, I can't make that big batch like you make. But you know that little yellow soup.
I didn't take anything else out. There's another packet in there.
Well, anyway, can you hold it a minute? Maybe it's not first.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. We're on.
I
got a whole tray. We're fine.
Just trying to show you that I still have them since 1945, was after Dawn was born, and I sat in the kitchen on the stool, and my dad went over the steps one by one, and I can't part with it. It's falling apart, but hey, it's original. So, okay, and then we have the recipes here you can refer to. And you don't have to say, oh, the recipe says this, I gotta do just so many. You just kind of have to play with it and
Make it your own.
yeah, and taste it. Taste it continuously. If it's not the way you want it, add whatever you think.
And
is
remember what
missing.
you add, how much more you add, so you can adjust your own recipe.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay.
So we are carrying this on for future generations now.
That's
But we
right.
gotta document it on tape that this is a secret recipe for family.
And it does not get sold.
You don't let
No.
any, yeah, it's a family recipe and you don't give it to your neighbors.
No.
Let them worry about it. We worried about it, getting all these things together. Why should we give it to them?
Well, what did
Keep it in the family.
What did your dad say? Didn't he say something
Grandpa.
too about that?
Oh, yeah.
He said not to give it out.
No, it's just a family recipe.
And he wasn't,
Originally, it came from my uncle, Uncle John Sheehan, who owned several restaurants down in Loup. One on Halsted, one on Van Buren, one on Wells under the L tracks. And that's the last one. They held on, they got eventually sold all the others, but kept that one. And that's where I remember, even you,
Yeah, I
we'd
remember.
drive all the way downtown just to pick up a quart or two of chili.
Wow.
And one time Uncle Gene had a new car and he took my mother and his wife, of course, and they went down to get some chili. Okay, they got the chili and set it in the back seat with Grandma, and it spilled.
Oh.
New car. Oh, was she mad. Well, anyway, make sure you got the tops on tight. If you're traveling. It was awful. Because that's a stain that you can't get out. It's kind of hard to get out.
peppers.
Yeah, right. Anyway.
So wait, you were telling us about the restaurant. Can you tell us a little bit more about what they served there and what that was like?
Yeah, my mother was 14 when she went to live with my aunt and uncle, which was her sister and brother-in-law. Okay, she was only 14. Her mother had died, and so they decided they'd bring her in, their family, her older sister's family, and raise her. And they called her Little Irene. Well, at 14, in those days, girls did not go to school. When you were 14, you go out and you work. So that's exactly what they did. They put her to work down in the restaurants. And she worked down there for years till she was married, which was like 24 years old. So, something in them. Anyway, she met my dad there. But this is where she found out a lot about how they make it. Nobody would tell anybody how they made it. But, you know, being there, she observed.
So she was never given the recipe, she just figured it out. Oh, that's a great story.
And
I'm sorry.
So that's, she worked there, I gotta tell you about this. The one store, I think it was on Federal Street, there was a restaurant in Federal Street. It was so small that they built like, off the one wall, it's just very narrow. It was almost like in between two buildings, there was a building in it, and they had a long board, which was like a countertop. And they had some stools, and these people would come in at lunchtime for their chili. And they'd sit at these long counters, but for 25 cents they could get a platter of chili and fill
wow.
up like no. But there were a lot of white-collar people, office people that would come on their lunch period. They loved it, especially the men. And they would be sitting sometimes next to a bum.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because the bums could afford a platter of chili. Yeah. And you could, there would be big bowls of oyster crackers on all the counters or tables, wherever, you know, whatever they had. And they could fill up with oyster crackers, and then some of them would shake Parmesan cheese on top.
Oh, really?
Was it always served with spaghetti?
Was it always so?
Was it served with spaghetti? Always
Always.
served? Always.
So oyster crackers and spaghetti
And
both?
spaghetti.
Yes.
Wow, both? I never knew they did that. Okay.
Because I remember growing up, Grandpa Wolf would always have a big bowl of the oyster crackers in the middle of the table. You just grab a handful and crumble them up and throw them on top.
Mhm.
Then you add the butter on top of that, and then you...
Butter? You put butter in
Yes.
that?
Oh, yes.
The kids love-
I tell you,
Yeah.
the kids love the butter.
And a big glass of
Yes.
milk, ice
Yeah.
milk.
Well, the kids love the butter because it killed the heat of the
Oh,
pepper.
I
That's
never
true.
put butter
And-
on it. I gotta try
Oh,
that.
it's so good.
And you always put the butter on, I always put it on the noodles. And
And
then,
spaghetti, then the
and
chili
then
on
the
top.
chili
Never
on
put
top.
butter
No, see,
on
I
it.
You
put
did the
the noodles,
opposite.
Oh, I
I put it
learned
on top,
something.
and then I cut it and mix it all up together.
Yeah.
And Parmesan cheese, not like a Colby or yellow cheese like they do
Right,
today.
right.
Wow.
But the butter makes it
Oh.
really good. It just makes a difference.
So and I were talking about this the other night on the phone.
When we were little and when our kids were little, nobody at a young age could eat chili like that. It's much too hot. But we would gradually introduce them by giving them a big platter of spaghetti with butter on it and maybe a few beans. And then as they got a little older, maybe a little sauce and maybe a little bit more. And then they're hooked.
Yeah, we got hooked.
And then they're hooked.
Yeah.
But that's where the butter comes from.
Oh
When
my
the
God.
kids are little, it's the only way they could eat it was with
And the
noodles.
butter back then wasn't, you know, 4 little, you know,
the big
it was
pound.
the big pound, a whole pound.
So how much
So
did
you
you
just
put
cut
on?
it off and then you just
That's up the
butter and put it on.
How much butter did you put
Oh, a
on?
lot.
To this day,
Yep, I still do it. a lot.
yeah.
Your dad put butter on
Yes.
chili? He
See?
does? How
See?
It's a must, even me, I mean,
It's the only way to eat it.
it's the only way to eat it, butter.
With butter. Isn't it something?
Oh my gosh.
Cholesterol.
And how that started was when we went to your brother's, and he had made the chili when Grandpa, me, and Dad were working at the US Open, the golf tournament. Remember, we all worked together, I
Oh,
worked with
yes,
Grandpa.
yes.
And he had made a big feast of chili for us and all the spaghetti. And he said, you need to put butter on it. So I did, and then since it's like,
Mhm.
it's never changed, so.
Well, yeah, you're like salivating.
Oh, I can't wait. I know what I'm having for dinner tonight.
Well, none of us are
Terry's gonna
cooking.
have
I know.
We gotta have it fresh.
I'm not gonna share it.
I don't have to share mine.
No.
Jen doesn't like chili.
He doesn't like chili. Oh, well.
No.
You got something
You
in
gotta
the
break
house.
them in like the kids.
I know.
Yeah, but now, I don't think your children, your boys,
Well, you know, they haven't,
they
they have to
get
get exposed to the heat.
Yeah.
gradually.
And give them noodles with some butter and then
Yeah.
a little bit.
See, my kids do not eat this chili. They eat the chili that I make.
The home style.
The home, I make, you know,
Kind that you get in a diner somewhere with the chunks of tomatoes in it, or no?
well, by the time you cook it down, the tomatoes are not big hunks anymore. It's just
Yeah.
but they will just inhale that stuff.
It's more of a tomato-y.
Yeah.
Oh,
And I put in the
that's right.
kidney beans and the seasoning.
There are
and
many
everything.
chilies that I really enjoy. I enjoy a can of,
Hormel.
Hormel, yeah.
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 You like
Nothing
it
wrong.
for what it is. It's different, but it's
It's
good.
different, it's good.
And Hormel to me is as close as I could get to this recipe.
Yeah.
But I get the hot. Not
Oh,
the original, I
really?
get the hot with the meat and pepper, everything.
But if you
Yes.
can't get the
chunky
hot, you
stuff.
could always add a little chili pepper.
Yeah.
Chili powder, yeah. Yeah. So,
Any
Yeah.
other restaurant stories that you can think of?
when I worked downtown, when I first got out of high school, I worked at the Insurance Exchange building on Jackson Boulevard. Well, we had an hour for lunch, and I'd get that hour, get out of that building, and I'd scoot over to Wells and walk over there. And of course, my cousins, who were running the business then after the dad died, would fill me up with a great big platter of chili, and I'd have to walk back to work and go back to work. But it was free, which was good. I think I made $18.50 a week at that time.
Oh my
So by the time,
goodness.
by the time you spend 7 cents for car fare one way, wasn't a whole lot left out of your paycheck. So when I was really hungry, that's where I go see my cousins. They were a lot older than me, but they were sure nice to me. Anyway, eventually, I think it was in 1952 when my cousins felt they just couldn't do it anymore. They sold the last restaurant. And that's when we bought mugs, we bought platters. They were selling everything for a nickel a piece. So that's how I have to get the
That's how
platters.
you-
Oh,
That's why.
those are original from the restaurant?
Yes.
Mom, do you want me to add some more, sorry, do you want me to add some more water to the beans?
I think so, probably, if they look like they.
Yeah, they're kind of.
Take a Pyrex thing and
Yep, we're still going.
um,
I didn't know those were original platters.
yeah.
That's cool.
But that pot, that one that I brought,
Yeah.
that's one of the, that's the size they used in the restaurant.
Oh, okay.
I didn't get to get one of those, they were gone by the time I got there. But Bob was home from the service, with 52, yeah, he would have been. And I had 3 kids, and there wasn't any money to buy anything. But the nickel platters I could afford. So,
I remember that restaurant with the long counter and the stools, they had no backs to the stools, all along that one.
that
On
was
that
Federal
one
Street, right, and there was
wall.
like a restaurant in Halsted that had tables all over, plus a counter. And the one on Halsted, I think, Halsted, Federal Street, the one on Wells also had the tables. Then in probably just prior to the war, probably around 1940, my dad and a friend of his said, we could open up a little, because Sheen's had just about closed down. They didn't care if anybody, opened a restaurant, it wouldn't hurt them. So they opened a restaurant, and they bought some secondhand stools, which you have one of, the last one. And they opened this little store. They had little tables all over and a counter, and they sold chili. Well, people didn't know what it was, and they weren't too sure. They liked it, I guess. It was something you have to acquire a taste for. And then they lasted about a year and a half. Then the war came, which was about 1941. So they had to close shop. But there were a lot of nice memories, because us kids, Jack, Chuck, and I, we were the kids. Betty and Audie were a little older. Audie was, I think, even married. Betty was going steady with Tony, so it was pretty much the 3 of us. Left at home, my mother and dad were working at a little restaurant. We'd get on the streetcar, take the Lawrence Avenue streetcar to, I think it was at Lawrence and Diversey. Did they cross? I'm not sure. Or Lincoln and, well, anyway, that's where the little restaurant was. And we'd go over there because we were hungry. You would fill it up chili. So,
Didn't people at one point offer money to Grandpa Wolf to get the recipe?
mind if I don't know.
just-
I had an article, and I gave you one, I think I gave you one, about the write-up on my
Yes.
mother, how she was interviewed, and she told how she had worked at the store and everything. And the daughters of John Sheehan were willing to sell it at that time, but I don't know if they got any takers or not.
I don't know, somewhere in the back of my mind, thinking that somebody said something about,
Could be, I don't know.
at one point somebody had offered Grandpa Wolf money and he said, no, that stays in the family.
Okay.
Now, when they opened the stand after the other one was closed, was anybody upset that they were making that recipe? Because they weren't given the recipe. You said your mom figured it out because she worked there. Were there any hard feelings
Oh,
there
no.
that they opened a stand and were using that
No,
recipe?
no. But there was always something in that chili that my dad could not put his finger on. He never quite got what it was until I think he was kind of experimenting with the help of my mother about what she knew. And they tried these different peppers, and it was, they would boil the peppers and then they would grind them because they didn't have any way of, pureeing them like we do. And he would grind all the peppers in after they were cooked. And then he kind of got this combination that you need all three of these chilies, plus the comino. My fingers are brown with comino. So, that's about it, I guess. Just boil it, taste it, and
Add a little salt.
add a little whatever you think. And of course you know what it's supposed to taste like, and you do too. And if you have any question about, is this right? Ask Cat. He knows what it should taste like.
It could be your tester.
Yeah.
Yeah, because sometimes I'll make chili in a hurry. I'll make a little tiny batch and give him some. And sometimes he'll say, it's okay, but it's not quite, yeah. It's because I didn't use the fresh peppers. I used,
Oh,
store-bought peppers.
Mm.
Yeah. So there's no two ways about it when you use fresh peppers or, fresh
It's a
dried
pain in the
peppers.
butt, but if you do it a day ahead, then it's doable.
That's right. And it's more fun when you get together to do it.
Yeah.
You can make a family, like someday when I'm
Especially
gone,
cutting,
you can
you know,
get together
season.
and have a chili party. Say, hey.
We'll have a margarita.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, margaritas with chili, just so wonderful because it cuts.
See, I've never had
I
that.
do have pre-made margaritas. You can't do that.
Oh my gosh. So tell us about how it used to be that it was a family event, like you were telling me the other
It
day.
was. The men would go hunting 15th of November every year. All my brother-in-laws and and their friends, and including my husband eventually when he got back from the service. They'd go hunting. Well, that was November 15th, and they'd go hunting. They'd come back a week later. Grandpa would have the biggest chili party you ever did see. He would work so hard on it. He would set up long tables in the basement. Somewhere I've got pictures of those long tables.
I remember in the bar downstairs in the
Yeah.
basement.
Oh, and
It was the length of the basement.
Wow.
They got the bar on one side and then
Was
there
it the
like
one in the house in Northbrook?
No, this is
No,
Parkside.
Parkside.
Oh.
Parkside. 5642 North Parkside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he'd set it up and.
See, he had a kitchen downstairs
Oh.
in the basement, a big kitchen.
Wow, that's
The
before.
kitchen was
before
here,
people
the
started doing it.
family, the table would go from there, the length of it,
Mhm.
and then the bar was on that wall.
Yeah, I'm glad you remember that.
People didn't do that, I didn't think, have kitchens in their basement. That must have been a real
We-
novelty
Yeah,
at
we
that
didn't
time.
have air conditioning in those days. What, in the summer, you ate down in the kitchen.
Oh.
You lived
Oh,
down in the
basement,
basement.
yeah.
It was cool.
Oh,
So it
okay.
makes sense to have.
Man, he'd scrub that cement floor and put bleach in the water, make sure it was clean. He had an old stove, one of those real
Yeah.
old stoves, and he could boil the piss out of stuff, he'd say. And boil it over, it wouldn't matter because it was the basement. Yeah. Because my mother had one, she went to a cooking school. Somebody had given her a ticket to go to this cooking school. Well, tickets were real cheap, but this neighbor of hers said, come on, Irene, we're going to go. So they went to this cooking school, and she won first prize. My mother was real lucky.
Just like you.
She won this beautiful modern stove. Do you remember the name of it?
Oh, no, but I can remember looking at it. I can see it, but I don't remember the name of it.
I mean, going from something that was built in maybe 1920 and to this thing, it was like,
It's beautiful.
she was the envy of the neighborhood.
Wow, I
It was
bet.
beautiful.
That same year, we had, at the corner where Delio's used to be,
Okay.
was a gas station where your father used to work. At that gas station when he was 17. And that's where he was, excuse me, he was siphoning gas one time, and he gulped it and he drank it.
Dad did that?
Yeah.
Oh.
He was 17 years old. He got so sick. But anyway,
He didn't do that for a while.
before Delio's was there, it was just like an empty lot, and in September, we would have in the neighborhood what they called
Block party.
homecoming week.
Oh, okay.
And it would end up being a party for the neighborhood. And they would build a little stage and everything. If some of the kids wanted to tap dance or if they wanted to sing, Betty and I got up there and harmonized "Shine on Harvest Moon."
I didn't know you liked to sing.
Can you sing that song for us?
Commercial break.
When I go see Betty sometimes, there's usually a program in the main part of the nursing home that they have something going on about 2 o'clock. And all the residents, they're either pushed in there or they walk on their own. But a couple times, one was Valentine's Day when I went to see her, they played all these old songs. And I said, Betty, come on, let's harmonize. And she remembered all the words.
Oh my goodness.
And it's something, Alzheimer's
Oh,
or whatever she's
wow.
got, she would remember. We sang, when it's springtime in the Rockies, Shine on Harvest Moon. Oh, they knew all the songs. This piano older lady, she knew all the songs to play. And she just enjoyed it so. So did I, come to think of it. It was kind of fun. Yeah. Well, anyway, where was I?
You were the big party he would have in the basement with the long tables.
Yeah, boy, we'd eat chili. And then you'd sit back and relax for a while and talk, and when you get hungry again, you go back for another.
Oh, yeah.
Joe Arnold, which was Tony and Jean's older brother, good-looking guy. It's like Earl Flynn. He really was good-looking. And the women crazy about him. Anyway, he loved Dad's chili. So he'd come to the chili parties, and of course he was there when I came home from hunting. He would eat chili, one platter after the other. That's when they used to put the suet in it. Well, anyway, Joe dropped dead of a heart attack.
Oh, I remember
in
that.
1955, I think it was.
Yeah.
And he was only like 55 years old.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Died on the job. He was a carpenter.
You blame the chili?
We all blame the chili, yeah. God, it clogged his arteries.
Well,
You know what?
yeah.
Even at his, after the funeral, everybody went back to his house. Guess what they had? Chili. Everybody was eating, I remember the chili down in the basement. Everybody was eating chili down in the basement.
Yeah.
Wow. So that's the reason the Wolves all have a history of heart problems, is the chili.
It's the
It's
chili.
Well, it was suet.
It's the
Yeah.
suet.
What's
Like,
that?
we were, suet, it's fat that's around the kidney of these cows.
Oh.
They would take that and grind it and then cook it down, and it would be real greasy. Okay, well, we saw the other day at the Mexican store, really surprised me, pork rinds that were fried.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
I mean, a big stack of and people could buy them.
Oh,
Buy
yeah.
them. That's what they eat, so they're all gonna die of heart attack.
Yeah, that's true.
So
That
the
was-
stool that we have, is that from the Sheehan's Chili Place?
No,
Or is
my
that
dad's
from your
restaurant.
dad's?
My dad's
Oh,
restaurant.
okay, I wanna make sure I got
So
that
hang
straight.
on to that one.
Yeah, we got
We almost threw it out several times.
Oh.
It was really bad shape, but Todd's gonna recover it.
No, we keep saying we're gonna, it's in the garage, we will. I was thinking that'd be a great birthday present for him if I can get it going.
But you know, that stool, it does not only mean a lot because it was in the restaurant, but Bob, your dad, would sit on that hours at a time working on the bench down in our
His
basement.
workbench, that was his
Yeah.
stool.
And then when we
Now
went
I
out,
remember that stool.
Not, yeah,
Yeah, in
It was
North
always
in the
in
back room.
and it was always in front of his workbench.
It
That was
it was
his
just
stool.
the right size. It was, you could just hike your butt up onto it, and it wasn't like sitting on a real high stool.
Yeah.
Yeah, Todd's the same size, so that'll work for him.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I remember when they first opened that store, my dad's store, in the 40s. They didn't have any money to buy signs or anything. That was my first experience making something for somebody to help their business, and I made all the signs. I made the Orange Crush
Oh.
sign, and I made the chili signs that he put in the window. He also bought a neon sign. I don't know where Jack, my brother Jack had that for years. It said Chili Mac.
Oh, I hope somebody still has
You know
that.
what? Uncle Jack had that down in his basement,
Yeah.
his finished
Oh,
basement.
I
It
hope
was
it
neon.
gets thrown
Yeah.
out.
Oh, I bet it's gone.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Because you don't think about
I'm
things
sure
like
she-
But that'd be
she
so
got rid of
cool to
that.
hang in a basement,
That
wouldn't
would
it?
be cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
ah, that's cool. So did they serve anything besides chili? Or is that it? You came in, chili and a drink, and that was it?
Chili Mac.
Oh,
beer,
it's like a
ice
hot
cold
dog
beer.
stand, you get chili.
That's
Yeah.
it.
That's it.
cold
Go with it. Then, somebody convinced my uncle that he should start canning it. Oh, he was reluctant about doing any, he didn't want to
Fresh
deviate
only,
at all.
right?
It had to be
Right.
freshly made. Finally, when business kind of got slow, he started to can it. And you could go in the stores and buy Sheen's chili. Yeah. But then he died in his sleep. He had this heart attack.
That's the chili again.
They found him on the floor in the bedroom where he died. So, the moral of that is don't eat chili, I guess.
Well, our chili's a little healthier than.
It's
You
a
don't
little
have the
healthy
beef
if you
to
don't do it all the time. I'm sure they must have eaten that day in and day out
That's
because it's
probably- yeah.
convenient.
Yeah, but it's so hard to, it takes so long to make.
Yeah, but the quantity that they could make.
Well, yeah, for
Because
there's
if
a
you make it
restaurant.
so much, it's like not a big, you just know, you just do it. There's no
Yeah.
thinking about.
Yeah, Dawn used to do it. Get up early in the morning, and she'd start in early in the
She
morning.
was making it? I didn't know she made it, I thought Mom
Because she
made
would
it.
come over and give me some.
Oh.
Pam, I got some chili for you.
So she'd grind the peppers and do all by herself?
Yeah, I gotta check the beans.
Oh, no problem. We don't wanna burn the chili because we're talking here.
You
Not
want
so high up. She's so little.
We need a stool, do you have a stool?
I do have a
But
stool.
then I'd
Oh, the
worry about
beans,
it
you should
falling.
see the beans now. They're
They're
really,
really popping?
yeah, beans are really pop.
Do we want them to pop?
No, they're not.
Well,
They're just
growing.
getting bigger.
Expanding.
Okay.
Well, I'm gonna eat.
You know, that sounds good. Should we put it on standby? We don't want to get us eating. So, all right, now where do you want us all to stand? By the stove? Because I can bring this over. Here, let me put it back on standby. I got on record, not a big deal. Because we're going to freeze an image. Okay.
Where are you gonna go?
I'm gonna go right
there.
here
And
and
I'm-
we'll see if we can.
Okay, now, move in, Mom.
Okay, you want the pot to show it all?
Yeah, we're fine.
You want the pot to show? My pot.
Okay, you just stand here, it's taping us.
I'll
Yeah,
go like this because I got chili on me.
okay, that's good. So we'll just see which frame turns out the best.
All right.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
nice.
Now, you said I can email it to you. I don't know if I have your
Before you
email.
go, Dar, turn around. Go over there by Sue.
Why?
Well, because, so when they see the pot that we're cooking.
Oh, okay, so go, okay, but we have to be, okay, so I have to be, Sue's gotta be in or she'll be cut off.
You want me to look and make sure it's in?
Yeah, take a look.
Because it's still running, I have the light on.
Okay, I'm gonna get right by Darlene's.
Yeah, you can stand right in front of me.
Here's the pot.
Okay.
Grandma stir.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, one of those frames ought to be good. There was certainly
Yeah.
enough time there. We were acting like dopes.